Welcome to Interchain FM, the Cosmos radio station. If you're seeking alpha in the cosmos, look no further. I'm your host, Chango Unchained. I am excited to have Yaz Corey from Celestia join us today to talk about the Infinite Bazaar. We're kicking this off at the first day of their hackathon, of which I am proud to be a judge of. We're going to talk about the houses. This is the sorting hat ceremony. Welcome to the show, Yaz.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about the sorting hat ceremony. Very excited about having you as a judge.
If y'all weren't familiar with my costume, I am here repping the whimsical house.
Oh yeah, I love that outfit. Yeah, that really speaks to me about whimsical. It's all about being playful, having fun. There's a massive cult following right now around whimsical. A few folks on the DevRel team, they're hardcore whimsical. They're like,
oh, are they?
Yeah.
I could see that because there's a bunch of troll engineers.
Troll engineering is how you get adoption eventually.
Absolutely. Can you describe the houses for people so that they understand the difference between each of them?
There are 4 houses, and you can see where we got that inspiration from, which is from the world of Harry Potter. Before I get into it, are these like feathers?
Yeah. This is more like your Phoenix house, right?
Oh, yeah. But I feel, it can still fall under whimsical. They like to wear feathers, but, maybe they're trolling the Phoenix house, which we're going to get into in a bit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Psyop.
So a lot of psyops happening. So yeah, I mean, we have 4 houses. Inspiration came from the world of Harry Potter. And we've seen another team that was doing developer education try to do 4 houses, which would build space. And that would also like, okay, so doing houses kind of works for a developer ecosystem and community. And I'll touch on this later, but also anytime that you go to a different conference, there are actual hacker houses that people can stay in and, meet other hackers and stuff. So got our team really thinking. And Natalie, who's on my team, she came up with the idea about our hackathon must have 4 houses. And this is why, and broke it down in terms of like all the different reasons why, which we're going to uncover in a bit. So the whole idea and how we're going to differentiate between houses, each house has what we call a brand archetype, right? Which in the world of positioning, branding, and PR and comms, brand archetypes are really how you design the brand, the emotion of the brand, the way it looks and feels for outside people. And we brainstormed what are the 4 different brand archetypes that we want for each house, because that would set the theme and the stage for how people interact with it, right? So let's talk about whimsical, right? Whimsical, the house class features an ape, and it's like the archetype for whimsical is what we call the jester, or like you said, the troll. The folks who like to have fun, they're very playful, fun-loving, optimistic folks. They like to experiment in ways where they can build really cool things, but also have a lot of fun and joke around and troll at the same time. That's whimsical. So if you have like a sense of humor more than the other houses and you like to have a lot of fun, this is the house for you. But keep in mind, there's a lot of serious developers in that house. So while there's a lot of, great trading shops, and also the hackathon is not only limited for developers, we also have a community track for people who want to create more art, more design for each house. So if you're an artist who wants to do a lot of cool design for Whimsical, you should totally join the hackathon. The other one that we did is Puddle Trail. Now, Puddle Trail is actually getting a lot of attention. Puddle Trail is the house quest, the platypus. It's really cute. It's really sweet. It's the best way that people can see like similarities to Harry Potter. It's kind of like the Hufflepuff of each 4 houses, right? Puddle Trail. The brand archetype for that one is for lack of a better term, but that's how they define it, the innocent. But it's not like it's innocent because they're very humble. They want to do a lot of good things in the world. They want to support other people.
They're helpers.
They're helpers. They're supporters. They want to they're they want to support everyone. They're optimistic, but at the same time, they're humble and they want to do a lot of good in the world. They just want to make the world better, but they're not necessarily the in your face kind of be like, oh, I'm going to change the world. They're like, no, we're here to support everything. And,
They're
you
here to
know,
prop other people up
yeah, we're prop
who
other
can
people
change
up, but like there are also a lot of serious, folks that are in Puddle Trail. A lot of people who are like serious builders have joined Puddle Trail, and it's been getting a lot of great attention. Like the last, I thought Puddle Trail would not get as much attention as the others, but like no, a lot of people love a cute platypus. The platypus does it all for
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
and the name
And
Puddle.
actually, if we're talking about Enneagram types, I'm obsessed with these personality frameworks, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
just like such a nerd. But the Enneagram types, the Enneagram type number 2 is the helper. And that actually
Mm.
like there's a significant number of the population that's belongs to the number 2 group. I think something above like 13% of the global population that's taken the test, they identify as helpers, or like they are identified as helpers.
That's interesting. I've been looking at a lot about this kind of stuff, like, different kind of personality tests and stuff. There's one that's called human design that a lot of people have been telling me about. It kind of mixes everything, including astrology and a bunch of other stuff, and it kind of gives you your personality and stuff. And it gave me a personality that I'm a projector. My friend told me that that's a very unique, not a lot of people in the population are projector, and this is one of the most powerful kind of personality. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I
Do
don't blame him.
Yeah. No. I could totally see that. I mean, this is, by the way, to yours and Natalie's credit, just by like having multiple interactions with you guys and joining your hackathon and coming to speak at the Modular Summit and experiencing that and how that entire thing is run. It's incredible how the two of you guys are just powerhouses and bringing such creativity to life. If you guys were at Tendermint back in the day, I would have loved to have worked with, people like you, right? It's just like this is the stuff that makes crypto fun. Tell me, A, what's your Myers-Briggs? And B, do you know your Enneagram type?
Funny story, I don't know either.
There's the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram type, which has 9 different classes, and it's mostly based on Carl Jung's theory that informs like how your personality gets molded into whatever it is based on like your childhood upbringing and possibly even childhood trauma. And
Yeah.
then there's another one that's the Big Five, which is something that Jordan Peterson codified. Those are like the main 3 that I'm aware of. And if you could just give me like 2 out of the 3, I could explain it to you right now. Puddle Trail maps with the Enneagram Type 2, the whimsical, my house, which, I'm an Enneagram Type 8, right? It's called the Challenger. Challengers are little fuckers. Yeah,
Little
yeah,
rascal,
no,
little
yeah.
rascal. For me, I believe when I did the Myers-Briggs, I don't remember the name, but there was a personality type where it was more like on the artistic side, but there was one that is like more scientific side, but like I wasn't in the scientific side, I was more leaning on the artistic side. Um,
Mm,
because
yeah.
I'm definitely more creative, but even though my background is engineering, but I do look at engineering as an art rather than like something just to
Mm.
build and like have fun.
Can you tell us about the other 2 houses?
The other house is called Mind Flux, which a lot of people point out, hey, it kind of sounds similar to Mind Fuck, and I'm like, maybe that's the intention, right? So Mind Flux is the magician archetype. Magician archetype, you can think of it like Apple, Disney, they have the magician brand archetype, and it's all about people who want control. They want to be in control, they want power, but not power in the sense of like evil power or good power, but more power like they want to create the narrative. They're the mystics, the thinkers, and they have a direction how things should happen. It's almost like a borderline Slytherin, and like the house quest is like a purple dragon, right? So it's if you ever identify as a Slytherin, maybe Mindflux is for you, right? So highly recommend this house. There's a lot of people in Mindflux. Mustafa might have said he identified with Mindflux. Your outfit it's like a combination of things. It's like you got the Mindflux in there, you got Lumen Tree, which we're gonna cover, and then but you identified Whimsical.
Yeah.
And finally, Lumen Tree. Now that's my house. That's the one I identify with. Lumen Tree the crest is the phoenix, right? And the archetype is the creator, right? And it's about people who like to take risks, who like to create new things. They're the creatives, right? They like to iterate. So if you feel like a little bit more creative and artistic and stuff, you definitely want to check out Lumen 3. I identify strongly with the Phoenix personally. I love dragons and all
Mm.
that, but like the Phoenix really speaks
Constant
to me.
reinvention, constant
Yeah,
death and
exactly.
rebirth.
Constant reinvention, rise from the ashes. Currently, a lot of people are picking Lumen 3. Like it's the one with the most, but not like by a huge margin, but it's just like we're tallying up how many people are picking a house. I guess a lot of people like the creative side of it.
That being said, now that you understand these houses, tell us which house you are in the comments below. So, Yaz, how does being in a house apply to the actual hackathon?
I can talk about like a step back. How did we decide? Why did we decide on houses? Like from a high level strategy, and then how that translates to the hackathon. At Celestia, from a developer adoption point of view, right? One of the biggest challenges that I had personally and my team had is how do you communicate what modularity is, what you can do with it, right? Like we have a thing called the phrase modularism, not maximalism, which was really featured at the Modular Summit. We also have build whatever as a phrase. When people ask me, what can you do with Celestia? What can you build? I'm like, build whatever. But that's still very abstract and overwhelming for people because what we're trying to say is there's infinite different ways that you can construct things in Web3 to build the roll-up or blockchain or application of your dreams, and you don't have to be constricted to a specific chain or a specific ideology, right? But you can still benefit. Like if you like Solana, you can take that VM and make a roll-up on top of Celestia or even on top of Ethereum, but takes data availability from Celestia. You can make a base L3 that takes DA from Celestia. You can make a sovereign roll-up with Cosmos SDK on top of Celestia. There's so many different ways to you. So this modularism, not maximalism, and the build whatever movement create this kind of infinite canvas that you can play around with. But that's really overwhelming, right? I mean, I don't know if you have this problem, but every time I go on a streaming service, like whether it's Netflix or like HBO or whatever, I get overwhelmed by the amount of options I have.
Mhm.
And I spend a lot more time trying to pick something to watch than actually watching it, because it's like you use a lot of brain power when you have so many options to just to try to pick something, right?
Yeah.
So how do you fix that? How do you fix that in Web3 or specifically for Celestia to build whatever? You introduce a little bit of tribalism, right?
Mhm.
Why? Because hey, I'm like, okay, I don't know where to get started. It's like, okay, you can go to your house, you can meet fellow, like-minded folks, and you guys can brainstorm stuff together. And that's like honestly the high-level idea. It's like, and then you can start having competition. Now, keep in mind, if you participate in the hackathon in the Infinite Space Bazaar, you even you can create a team with people from different houses if you can't find people from the same house working on a project you want. So you're not restricted with making a team from people from your house, which is kind of like in Harry Potter. Like if I'm a Gryffindor or Slytherin, I can still be friends with people at Ravenclaw, and maybe we can work on a group project together. That's fine. I don't think you get point deduction for that, right? And the reason for that is, we want more people to get to know each other across different houses. But what does that mean for the house, like the long term like idea around the house? We want to create specific community building around each house. You can imagine in the future events, meetups, NFTs, swag specific for your house over time. We want to create more competition per house, yes, but even if we do competition, it doesn't really impact or doesn't really, if you want to make a team for the hackathon, which is 45 days, you can still participate in a competition that's like 4 hours, one day, like, it's like capture the flag kind of competition, right?
Mhm.
There's so many different things that you can do when you introduce a lot of world building with a lot of different houses and creating like alignment around the community that you value. And keep in mind, you pick a house as an individual. You can come as a team, and if you have 5 people on a team and everyone says, "Hey, we're all mind flux," great. But is it though? Like, I mean, is
Mhm.
everyone, all 5 people, the same kind of personality? Because what we want to make sure is that you pick the house that aligns with you as an individual. Like, as a sovereign individual, what is your personality? And what do you, because you can still, make a team with people, with your friends if they're in other houses. Doesn't matter, right? But like, we want to introduce that community building specifically for people that align with the values you align in the modular ecosystem.
It's also more optimal to construct a team that is more diverse. I get that it's comfortable being part of
Mhm.
a team of people that are sort of like-minded in many ways. If you've ever watched like House was like constructing a new team of doctors. But then there was this one doctor who's super smart and usually arrived at the same conclusions as him. But House fired that person because he was like, well, it doesn't help me or it doesn't help the patient at all to have two of the same minds. It helps to have someone who thinks a little differently than me to be able
Totally.
to get the most optimal outcome. So that's interesting. Yeah, and the self sorting is helpful in letting people know, right? Like 'cause some people like me are kind of blind at first sight about like what people are until I figure out your personality type, based on a framework. you know?
Yeah, the questionnaire that you have when you submit your application as a hacker has like 5 questions that, based on your responses to the 5 questions, it would recommend a house to you. And then, very importantly, going into the Discord after, you can go with the recommendation if you're not sure, or you can still self-sort yourself because, hey, I mean, we're not going to get it always right as a recommendation. So you can always pick a house that aligns with you. What you said about house, having 2 people that are like-minded is really true because at the end of the day, you want to work with people that complement you rather than working with people who are like a copy paste of you. Um,
Mhm.
and I guess there's always been like a thought experiment about if you ever seen yourself, how do you react to yourself? And I guess most of the
Mm.
time people think about it like they wouldn't like what they see in themselves because if that person is like a copy of you in front of you and stuff, which is why I guess twins try to, like, people who grew up, with a twin, they'll try their hardest to like make sure that they're different than each other twin and stuff, like than their sibling.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you got to think about it as an individual, what you bring into the table, how you can contribute, whether you're a hacker, whether you're a writer, a designer, an illustrator. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can contribute to the hackathon. And, there's a
Mhm.
lot of different tracks and main tracks that we have for the hackathon that a lot of people can participate with.
Let's expound on the tracks. What can people do, and are there bounties attached to each track?
So the biggest track that we have is called, we have 4 main tracks for the hackathon. The biggest one is called Build Whatever. And that one is specifically about application. Now, you can decide whether you want to build an application on top of a rollup that you can deploy, and we'll show you how to do that, or you want to use an existing rollup testnet in order to deploy your project on. For that, like, there's a lot of different kind of categories, but mainly it's like DeFi, NFT, gaming is really important, and just general kind of Web3 application that you can think of. So we dedicated most of it for the main track, for the build whatever track. That one is like $50,000 in prices. But they're broken down into category, and we're gonna have it on the price page. The other one is the core track, and that one is $20,000 track, and that one is specifically about the protocol. You want to contribute to the protocol. Maybe you want to do something in bridging related, anything zero knowledge related. You want to do developer tooling, infrastructure, anything that kind of contribute to Celestia would be that track. Third track is the UX track, the user experience. That one is $22,500, and that one is any way that you can help onboard new people, whether they're users or developers into Web3, is part of that track. Another big one is PWA, or what we call progressive web application, which is, if anyone ever played around with friend tech, and friend tech is really remarkable. I haven't really fully explored it, but I went through the onboarding experience, and you can download an application like an iOS application directly from the browser
Right.
without
Yeah.
having to have it through the app store. And that's kind of changed the game for Web3, because after Frentech, a lot of people are like, well, PWAs could be part of the future because it's how you navigate around the app store policies, which is
Yeah.
not very favorable for crypto,
Yeah.
by doing something like Frentech. So we'd love to see a lot of different UX implementation around that. And finally, community. So the community track is about $7,500. That one is specifically if you want to add a lot of different things to the Infinite Space Bazaar, whether you want to create more illustrations for the house that you're in, or maybe you want to spin up a DAO for your house, or you want to do a lot of storytelling. Like maybe there's a backstory for your house that we don't know about, like interesting stuff. So that's when people can get creative and do things that are support the community in general.
You're crowdsourcing the lore around the Celestia ecosystem based on these houses. It doesn't exclude people if they aren't engineers. This type of strategic thinking for a hackathon casts the widest net to bootstrap a community for a project that's only launched half a year ago.
That's exactly like the way you described it, exactly the thinking around it. I mean, if you go to bazaar.celestia.org and you see all the cool animations and illustration and the video, like there's a lot of work that went into that. But why stop there? Like this is world building as a whole, but what if we do world building as a community building exercise altogether?
Mhm.
And that's
Right.
why we want to experiment with the community track. And if it works out and the results speak for themselves, we're definitely, for a future hackathon with the Infinite Space Bazaar, will probably increase the amount of bounty on the community track in the future.
Totally. Is there a cap to the size that teams can get?
We don't really have a cap on how many team members, as long as, if, because I mean, I guess you can have 10 people in a team, but like, I feel like when teams become that big, is everyone equally contributing? And it's up to the team. Like for us, it's like it doesn't matter, because I mean we look at it per project.
Mm.
We don't look at how many people are on the project necessarily. And but we do like to know who contributed what, and then if somebody wins a reward, we just send it to that project, right? And then they decide how they want to distribute it among themselves if they qualify for a track.
If people want to learn more about to join a house and take the questionnaire, where do they go? What's the Discord? How do they follow along as they move through the hackathon or the Infinite Space Bazaar?
Yeah, for that they for that there's bazaar.celestia.org. You go there, and then you can sign up. The sign up will take you to a type form, and you complete it with the questionnaire, and then you get access to the Discord. Because it's a separate Discord than the Celestia one. It's like a separate one for the hackathon. It's not public because we want people to complete the questionnaire before they get access to the community, which is, it helps onboard you and give you, context on what to expect in the hackathon. So definitely go to bazaar.celestia.org and you'll find all the information needed. And you can even check out like the video there, and like the description of all the houses. And then once you complete the type form, you get the link to the Discord, and then you can join. And there you can select a role, and your role is which house you are in.
That's exciting. Okay, a little bit of alpha. If someone joins this hackathon and they fall into one of the houses, are there opportunities for them to get NFTs out of that?
Yes. So I don't want to promise anything yet. Like we just want to focus on launch, but part of the thinking around it is we do want to issue NFTs per house. We don't know what format is going to happen in. There could be one for every hacker. Like if you're part of a house, you'll get an NFT for that house. But we're also thinking around the time of like the project submissions and stuff, we will tally up every team member from which house they are, and the team, like the house that has the most winners even if there might be in a team that mixed with people from other houses, we calculate it on an individual level. They might get a special NFT. They might get an invitation to future events that we're planning, like maybe the Modular Summit. We're still trying to finalize that, so I don't want to really promise anything that I can't deliver. But I promise you that we're actively working on really cool things for that. And what I really want to hopefully push by the end of the hackathon is we should be able to have swag, which is like, I don't know if you ever seen the Harry Potter swag. You can get a scarf for Slytherin. You can get like robes. I don't know if we're gonna do robes and stuff, but we're gonna try to find
Robes would
really.
be cool.
I would like to see some robes.
I would
Everything.
start walking around a crypto conference wearing my house robe. It'd be like a spacesuit and then like plus like a whimsical robe.
I'd
It
love
just
that.
would not match.
I would love that. It's more about like the issue with robes is trying to find like a provider that has robes that we can work with, like like a vendor for the swag.
Oh,
But
there's plenty.
yeah, it might be a little bit trickier, but we'll try to find some for sure.
Yeah. Or another interesting thing is, with the ordinals, the Bitcoin, the ordinals wizards, they have like a wizarding hat.
How about this? I'll run by a lot of the swag designs by you before we publish them, just to get your feedback.
I would love that.
Yeah, you'll be like the swag.
I live for this stuff.
You'll be like swag consulting on a lot of things that we're doing.
Definitely. I launched the one of the earliest Cosmos swag stores before we took it down after a little bit because it was like too much to maintain. But the swag stuff is like super fun. I love it.
Nice. I didn't know that. Yeah, I might have questions for you about that later.
Huge supporter of you, Nat, the Celestia ecosystem. I love what you guys are doing. By the way, they're also the team that brought the what is it called? The gaming event, like the
Yeah.
Super Smash tournament to
We call it game night, and
game night.
yeah, it's always been successful. We might do one for the upcoming Modular Summit. So basically, yeah, like the whole idea about game night is how do you combine on-chain gaming with board games and Super Smash Bros. It's like bring it all together, have it in really epic locations, and you can have a DJ, people dancing, and people, there's food and stuff. But a lot of times you'll find a lot of people just want to play games. And every
Oh
game
yeah.
night we did, like there was a lot of board games on the table. There's like it was always packed. Like people would just wanted to play games. So we've done that. We might do that for the Modular Summit, for one of the nights for the Modular Summit, which is going to happen July 11th to 13th in Brussels around ECC week. So Gateway Prague, we did it at the Prague Palace, which is where the royal family lives in. And we rented it out and we did it. And people were like really blown away by the fact that, hey, we're in a royal family palace and there's a bunch of Web3 folks just playing games. It was just like epic. Like nobody ever
Best
seen a
use of the
part.
space.
I know, because like all like the organizer, like the vendor, were always telling us, no, this is like reserved for a wedding, very proper and stuff. And then you have people in hoodies just like playing Super Smash Bros. In like palace that's probably like centuries old, So that was really fun to see. We're definitely gonna do another one, and you gotta come.
I'm definitely coming to the next one because I'm about to kick some ass and Smash. Sometimes I'll bring my own console and then have like a little side Smash tournament or something like that. With the Osmosis party, we had a little Smash section, like a Smash corner, right next to the dance floor. And in the beginning, the dance floor was completely empty, and it was just like a bunch of us playing Super Smash Bros.
Oh,
It's just like a bunch
really?
of nerds in the corner playing Smash.
I mean, it's always a popular game to play. Everyone wants to play it. Everyone has different kind of tactics, what kind of character they want, and yeah, it's always been successful. Whether it's 4 or 8 players, everyone wants to be involved.
I heard that the Celestia team in particular are big smashers and that you guys are actually pretty good at it. So I would love to, smash.
At every on-site we ever did, there's a lot of smashing happening with Super Smash Bros. But like the one person you got to look
Mhm.
out for is Nat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like she's
She's
actually
good?
pretty good. Yeah, she's very good.
I would smash her so hard. The next opportunity we have, we'll play some Smash. And for those of you listening, if you know your house, comment your house in comments below. If you know your personality type, if you're like you're a Myers Briggs or your Enneagram type, also tell me in the comments below, and then we could have some fun with that. Me, I'm an ENTJ and an 8, so the combination is I am a son of a yeah,
A little rascal.
a little. Actually, do you know which famous people are actually this combination? It's Donald Trump, Dick Cheney. It's I think Joe Rogan might also be this exact combination. So I am a little rascal.
Maybe there's a future for you in politics.
Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I'm going full like unfiltered ham now. It's like, let's go.
I would totally vote for you if you run for president. So, there's always that,
First Asian female president. Let's go. Maybe
And you should gotta wear that outfit or something like
I
it
will wear this
on your
outfit.
inauguration day,
Maybe when I'm like 70. So we'll see. We'll see in the future.
which is apparently very young age to be in politics. At 70, prime time,
I know. Let's do it. Let's go. All right,
Love
Yaz.
it.
Thank you so much for coming on. I would love to learn all of your personality types so that I could, like fit it into my head. And
Mhm.
yeah, let me know. I want to know about you as well.